So today's ambiance is a train going through the frozen wastes. And today's picture is a friend of mine. He's a hilarious magician called Bill Birch. Seriously, he's a member of the Ipswich Magic Society, which is the club that I'm a member of. And he's the funniest guy. That sounds a bit loud. I don't know how loud that's going to sound on there, but that sounds a bit loud. I'm going to turn that down. He's the funniest guy. His act is I nearly wet myself, seriously. He also does Santa a lot, which is, you can see the beard. So, I'm not sure where to start with this. Ordinarily, I'd try and get a feel for the size of the head, but with the beard, I think the chin finishes about there. But there's definitely kind of, the round part of the head is here, you can tell that bit, and then the chin kind of comes down to there, and then there's the additional beard on top of it. I'm going to start with, best place to, why am I starting all the way over there? Start with I am trying to see, the reason I always try and start with some sort of geometric base is because I want to be able to construct heads without any kind of photo reference by the end of this process. I'm not saying that the end of this process will be so if that's the sort of center line of that, and that's kind of where the sphere part would have finished. It's kind of the same again, so that would come down to here. The end of this process, as I'm calling it, won't be the end of September. Far from it. I think that the end of this process is going to be a long time in the future. I think I may never be finished trying to learn how to do faces. But you got to keep on keeping on, as it were. So the interesting thing is, if the shape of the head comes to about here, and that's the edge of the eye line, that's like barely a third of this. So all of this is going to be face here. So, and the ear is right along this sort of edge. This is me trying to space things out. I've been doing a little bit of reading about, how people construct heads. And it seems very much like when you see cartoon images, they're obviously heavily stylized, and I talked about this in a previous video. When you stylize a head, what parts of an actual head are you keeping and which parts are you getting rid of? Like, you wouldn't have every single line from this head be part of the final image, but you would have things like the shape of the head, maybe the position of the elements. And I think that's what it comes down to, is that by doing drawing from life, so that eye almost comes to the edge of there. Give myself this little divot here, and that eye kind of comes to here. Why have I drawn that curve? That's almost a straight line, because the camera is aligned with his eye line. That shouldn't be a curved line. What am I doing? Yeah, it's all about the relational distances between the head. The eyes could be very simple shapes indeed, but so long as they're in the right place, your brain will fill in the gaps. If they're in the wrong place, however, your brain won't do it. So, not just your brain, I'm not saying that there's something wrong with your brain in particular, dear listener. Just the human brain has its limits, and that is they. So, see, in this one, I am going to draw the glasses, but I want to get the face first, if that makes sense. So the nose has a very, very bulbous, Santa-y kind of nose. It comes all the way down to here, and it almost carries straight on up into that nostril. I don't want to do the nostril too large. It's kind of it's got a very sharp up there, and then a shallower down. That nose line kind of ends there. There's a sort of flattened part. There's kind of a ridge. And then that comes up into the brow line, which is quite highly arched actually. That comes kind of up to here and then arches down. Yeah, that's about right. See, there's this interesting crease on the upper eyelid here. And then the eye itself, so that crease doesn't actually come all the way down to the eye. That crease kind of goes there. And the eye is very much in this area. Yeah. So I feel like that nostril is way too large for the size of the nose. Or maybe the nose is too large for the head. This is the part that I'm trying to get my head around, is the scaling of things. It's the thing that I seem to have the most difficulty with, is capturing the scale of different bits of the face. So like that nose seems quite tall, but it's certainly not like taller than the whole rest of the face combined. So really the nose line needs to end there. So this bulbous part would go to about there. Something more like that. Yeah. And then if that ends quite abruptly with its downstroke there, then that nostril will kind of start just over there and go up, turn and down to there. So that's a much more sensible size for that. Yeah, as I say, the thing I have the most difficulty with is capturing these relative sizes. That actually looks a lot worse now that I've redrawn it. Why is that? It's because this is too high. That literally is, it's barely a millimetre above that, so it's almost like it continues straight up. And it's just the tiniest break. Yeah. And then the other eye starts kind of over here. There's this sort of rule of three that I've learned, is that the distance between the eyes should be the same width as the eyes, and the eyes themselves should kind of, unless they're seriously oblique, should be about the same height again. Now the corner of this eye is slightly higher than that, so I guess that comes down like that. That's way too low. It's more of a kind of yeah, it does have this part of the eye here, and then it comes down, and then that's got obviously the arch that comes up here, a little bit higher than that one, but not much. Well, the research into snitch tagging the people who I'm drawing is finished, and it turns out that nobody cared. Literally none of the people that I tagged into the pictures that I'd done of them even commented. They didn't like them, they didn't comment them. I doubt they even looked. So that's a piece of information for you if you ever consider interacting with a celebrity. It's safe because they will never notice. You know, that's... Let's get the brow before we start doing that. So this brow line is quite clearly there, so that sort of starts just above where the eye is, and then comes over, and it literally just goes all the way to there. Starts kind of above the eye. It just starts. It's got an almost sort of external face to it. It comes up and then down. It follows the face. I probably won't capture all of that line, but I'll get a bit of it. And this eye. Again, he's looking straight at the camera here, which is great. Super useful. Because it gives me a lot to go on. Got this little bit of cheek here. And I think there's a little bit there as well, but you can't really see it because that's where the beard takes over. I'm going to get to the beard in a minute. It's very interesting how that almost lines up with the pupil, but of course on this side it lines more up with that. So your brow starts here, ends kind of this area. And it's got this very sharp angle to it, but it gets real fat here. He's got all the classic elements of a Santa Claus. He's got the bushy eyebrows. He's got the sort of the globular nose, the white beard, which he did, like the last time he played Santa, he didn't actually have the beard. That's the mad thing about this, is that the last time that Bill played Santa, he needed a fake beard. Because all year round, he's a magician called Bellini, and he does non-Santa stuff. So when it came time to do the Santa, he'd have to put a fake beard on because his normal stage persona does not have a beard. But of course Santa Claus does have a beard, so he had to get one. Right, now the hairline kind of comes all the way up to here, like that's literally the side of the head is where the hairline meets. And he's got this little curl of hair here, a little bit sticking up this there. It's very, I feel like the parting is about there, so there's like some curls coming this way, some going up there, some arching over here. But they don't really invade onto the head at all at that point. And here they kind of come this way. So that's where the parting is. And until these hairs start coming out here, now that kind of flattens in. I've been doing a little bit of reading on shape of the head, and the shape of the side of the head is not rounded. It's actually flat. There's a bit of the head guide that I wasn't reading, which is you've got to flatten off the side of the head a little bit. So then we have these. This comes in here and then kind of goes back in a bit. And that comes all the way down to where this cheek is. So this cheek gives us a nice line for where the beard goes. Because the beard kind of pokes out here just above the ear and then comes straight down and meets up there. The tash starts there. And you can tell actually from looking at how delicately coiffured this part of the mustache is that comes down this way, that he generally does have a mustache, like in his standard performing persona. I'm going to leave that line on there even though you can't see it because I'm going to need that to get the shape of the mouth right. Now this kind of comes up here and out there, and then the rest of the beard kind of comes down, and it's a real big beard. It kind of has the Santa Claus angle going on. So that's like it's a sort of angle there, flat, and then curves up. So this kind of curves up around here. There's your little flat bit down below the chin. Curve to there. And then this comes all the way up to this side of the head. This is my big fear of this is it's going to end up just looking like a big generic picture of Santa Claus. I'm trying to make it look like Bill. Sorry, Bill. So you can see the hairs come this way, and that beard never actually reaches the side of the face there. So that actually comes all the way down to there in little curved bits. And this comes all the way to the cheek in similar curved bits. So the flow of the beard is like this, and then there's the little curls here. then you have the mouth, bottom lip, and the rest is chin, which you can't see because of beard. So it's kind of, yeah, where that line ends is kind of the edge of the mouth there. And there's a bit more of that there, but then this almost immediately ends just alongside the nose. So that's kind of the only bit of mouth that you see. No, the gap must be bigger than that. It's kind of, no, it kind of goes all the way up to here, doesn't it? Yeah. So you have a bit of lip. I'm gonna have to stylize this mouth because without like capturing the colours of it, you literally can't see a mouth because it's covered up so much by the curl of the beard. Oh. Okay, it looks like that's still recording. I'm assuming it's still recording because the light, I think, is still on. Is the light still? I don't know if I'm recording still. I'm going to have to interrupt this so that I can check and see if I'm still recording. Okay, so I don't know how much I lost, but I know I lost some because basically the card was full again. Again, I know, right? The card was full again. This here should come down a bit further. So in case you missed it, I was just talking about the shape of the beard and the fact that it actually comes over a lot further this way than it looks, and that bit sort of only comes to here. See that sort of, you can almost make out the shape of his usual mustache inside this, but it's a lot denser than it would ordinarily be. Now, before I can go any further with this, I kind of need to add the glasses, which I've been worried about, but I gotta do it, so how am I gonna do it? It's not a thing I've had to add before, but if I'm gonna do a self-portrait, I may do one with glasses, I may not, I don't know. Sometimes I wear glasses, but not always. So the arm of the glasses come down here, and the frame, it kind of, it's a real deep frame actually. It sort of comes almost down to the edge of this part of the nose. So it comes almost all the way down to here. They're quite large frames on these glasses. And then that'll come up here. And that arch of the eye comes up above. So the inner frame kind of, it almost ends there. So that's the inside frame. And then the outside frame is thin on top. Only comes down a little bit to there. And then sort of immediately angles away, gets covered by the hair here. This has a curve to this, and you can kind of see where the frame thickens there because it goes inside that kind of, it's almost straight there. And I need to get this exact distance again for this part of the frame, because this part of the frame kind of goes underneath that part of the eye. In fact, if anything, that part of the eye is now, it looks like it's too low because I wasn't accounting for where the frame would go. So if I just carry this line straight across, that's where the top of the frame should go to about here. Oof. God, this is so difficult because now I need to basically copy this exact shape in reverse. And if there's one thing I'm not good at, it's copying things. So that's straight across from there to there. And the frames do actually intersect with this part of the eye, so that gives me a bit of a reference point. So that's a little too low there. She needs to come to about here. And down again. And this comes down here. And the frame butts up against the nose. So this nose is actually not far enough across, which kind of adds up actually when I consider the rest of the picture. See, if I wasn't trying to replicate a photo, I would probably just do two square frames and then curve them out a bit and it'd be fine, but because I am trying to follow an actual picture, I sort of have to at least try and capture the shape of these frames. This comes out to here a little bit and then up to there. Not quite so prominent. And then you can actually see the arm. Actually, no, the arm kind of that comes up here and you don't actually see that disappear behind that. Because it perfectly follows the curve. That comes down to there. And this goes up inside, but it disappears before it actually comes up onto the side of the face. Like so. So there's a little tiny sliver there which shows you it's being refracted by the lens. So it's really kind of odd. It almost looks wrong. Possibly because I got too much face there. In fact, yeah, those frames should end kind of there-ish. That's more like it. This comes up here, that goes up there, this raises a little and then disappears behind the hair. Yeah. Now the beard kind of curls this way. One thing I learned yesterday about doing curls is that unless they literally come away from the surface, they should always try and, like this kind of nonsense, that would go nowhere on here. It literally has to curl back in. But this beard is white, so we only want a few of these to kind of define the shape. There's a little bit extra kind of sticking out. Don't know what to do with this line. I'm not entirely sure if that's like part of something that was on the wall behind him, or whether he's got one of those chains that hangs down the back on his glasses. I'm tempted to not actually involve that in the picture. I think I may just ignore the existence of that. Yeah. So the beard kind of goes like that. Why do I now feel like that arm is too high? It should be lower. Because these frames should curve down more. You know what, I'm actually going to say I'm happy with that. So he's got this sort of directly above the edge of the nostril. There's this kind of crease here. I'm not sure how many of these I'm going to capture, because they do tend to add age to a participant. That's right, I call him a participant because he's part of this now. He's part of my whole thing. This is recording. Yes, this is recording. Good. He's got this mole just here. Good catch. I'm going to make sure that mole survives. That's going to outlast him, that mole. When the carbon of the Earth has returned to a fiery sun, that mole will be recorded forever. So I feel like here, this should be, it should show some sort of curve, like almost from the face inwards, but not too much, again, because I feel like too hard a line and it will look wrong. Too soft a line and it will look wrong. It's all about subtlety, which I don't know if you've picked this up from my previous ones. I am not great at. I am not very good at subtlety. Right. I think I'm ready for the ink. Yeah. I think it's time. Almost. Just want to correctly capture the curve of this brow. Yeah, that one is higher than that, isn't it? Yeah, that's not my imagination. Okay. Time for ink. The temptation on this one, and I think it's a temptation I'm very much going to follow, is to start with the nose, because the nose kind of, it ties into the shape of the glasses, and otherwise the glasses may go over it. So I think it ties the whole thing together. Steady, calm hand. We're going to have that to that, and I am going to just do this cheek line here. Right. I now have a starting basis for where all this stuff's going to go. The next part I'm going to do is the glasses, just because I feel like if I get the glasses in, then the rest of the face will kind of fit around them. And I'm going to start with the outlines. So the outlines are the upper arches. The bridge. This in a curve. The way it comes down. That doesn't matter so much because we're going to be filling this in black anyway. And here this comes in and down. Into there where it disappears behind the nose. That's good. Now the reason I did the outer first is because that then gives me a a place to kind of trace the inner line, to keep it a set distance away. Okay. Oh, I feel like I can breathe again now. So now this gives me a starting point for adding this line that comes in here to there. And unlike the previous people that I've drawn, there's not a very strong lash line here, so I don't want to go all the way under. But I do need to follow that line because it meets up with that. So yeah, that does just intersect with the bottom of there, doesn't it? You know what? I am going to fill in the rest of that eyelid, because I feel like capturing this part is quite important. Yeah. So then we have this crease that arches down to there, and indeed continues to that place, and this crease which goes to there. And this part of the face kind of, it sort of ends there because that's where the beard lines take over. Meanwhile, the curve of the head, this comes straight up over the top to about there. Now, I feel like I should draw the brow with lateral lines, but first I'm going to capture this, and annoyingly the pen was slightly thicker than I was expecting. I was hoping to capture a little bit of white in there, but I have not managed it. Oh well. And this is pretty much, you know, curves all the way for the whole brow. And the same over on this side, but curving, actually curving the same way, because the turn of the head means that it sort of is curving the same way. Except that near the end here they kind of become a bit thinner, and then it's only really around here that they kind of become dense enough to work as a full. Phil is a very self-deprecating guy. When I said to him that I wanted to draw his picture, I warned him that it probably wouldn't look very good. And he said, "Why is that?" And I said, "Because I'm a bad artist." And he said, "Well, if you're a bad artist, it'll probably look great." He said, "If you're a good artist, it'll look terrible." Right. There's a bit of hair sticking out here. This arm of the glasses comes back to approximately there. See, now the interesting thing about capturing this hair is that a lot of it is quite strandy, but at the same time it's sort of, there's some paler parts, let's say, and the paler parts kind of still have to be captured, but they're not going to look as dark, if that makes sense. They're going to, so we said that the parting was around there where it all kind of comes out. It also comes down under here. Some of it sort of sticks out into the ear there. So now here's where we have to be really careful, because I want to define the edge of this area, but I don't want to over-define it. I need to show that it's a white fluffy Santa beard, basically. There's a few curls under here, sort of define the shape, and then around here we have sort of the Santa-y bit. Before I do that, I'm going to do the rest of the hair on top, because there's this sort of sprig of hair coming up here. Some curves. I was saying to my friend Vicky today that one of the disheartening things about this is that these seem to be taking longer the better I do. So, like, yes, my art is improving, but no, I'm not getting any faster. Because, you know, I've sat in front of a caricaturist who could basically do a perfect likeness of me with no pencils, just went, just did it, and it was great. The Bill has brown eyes, so I'm going to do a sort of shade here, but what I'm actually doing is just almost like completely filling it in. Oof, that was a mistake. That almost looks kind of demonic. So I've taken what was a fairly good image and I've kind of ruined it just by doing that. But I'm going to stick with it, because what option do I have but to stick with it? And we'll see where it goes from here. So I'm gonna finish doing the beardy parts, because I feel like this is gonna be the easiest win. So this obviously has a sort of under thing there and there, which helps us to define the mouth, which goes all the way along there. I feel like just a few extra curls just here and there will help to kind of give this shape. Right, what else? I'm going to darken slightly under this nostril because I feel like it needs it. And then I'm going to do the fill on the glasses. Yeah, without that bit of light you can't really tell what's going on there with the frame, but I'm sure that's not going to be the worst part of the image. The worst part is probably going to be these demon eyes. Of course, one of the dangers of inking without turning the paper, which is why I turn it, is because if you accidentally rest your hand on an area where you've already inked, you're gonna have a bad time. Right, now I just want to capture a little bit of these creases. And of course, when this is uploaded to the cloud, it will live on forever, that little crease. There's a little under the eye there as well, just to make him look super tired. Of course he's tired, he's a magician. Very hard working sort. I just have a there we go. That is Bill. Let's actually a little bit of this should actually come over here. There should be a little, just a few little hairs there. May have ruined it. Oh well. I've actually invested in a new, I say invested, I found in the back of a drawer, a proper professional eraser with an ace of diamonds on it. Because, you know, magicians have one-track minds. You see my dog over there. She wants me to let her out, and I will do as soon as I finish this. There's got to be an easier way to erase pencil lines. Ah. Now, back in the day when we used to study the how to draw manga books, I remember we used to always do things in blue pencil, because apparently that was the technique that they used in professional manga studios. And the idea was you use a blue pencil, and that way when you scan it you can just cut out the blue channel and it disappears. Not sure entirely how accurate that is. These days I imagine they all draw on tablets, and just a few little alterations. You don't have to worry about erasing pencil because it all just happens automagically. Yeah, I think I'm done. I think maybe that line's a bit wrong, but there's nothing I can do about it now. That should have been a much shallower curve, but yeah. That's Bill.